Senator Kennedy sues Adam Schiff 480 lore. Adam response stuns everyone on live TV. The political landscape of Washington, D.C. erupted into chaos when Senator John Kennedy, a seasoned Republican from Louisiana, launched an $80 million defamation lawsuit against Representative Adam Schiff, a prominent Democrat from California. The bombshell legal action, which sent shockwaves through the halls of Congress and the digital corridors of social media, stemmed from a fiery Instagram livestream that Schiff hosted, drawing an audience of over 200,000 viewers in real time. It was during this unscripted moment, with thousands of comments flooding the screen, that Schiff made a series of explosive accusations against Kennedy that would alter the course of both their careers. The stakes were high, the rhetoric was heated, and the fallout was immediate as the nation watched a high-profile clash unfold. Weights to political heavyweights, each wielding their influence in vastly different ways. The incident began on a seemingly ordinary evening when Schiff, known for his measured yet incisive style, decided to engage his substantial online following through a live stream. Seated in his Capitol Hill office with a backdrop of policy books and a California state flag, Schiff fielded questions from viewers about his legislative priorities. The conversation initially centered on clean energy initiatives, a cornerstone of his platform, as he passionately outlined plans to combat climate change through bold policy reforms. The tone shifted dramatically when a viewer asked about the persistent gridlock in the Senate, where environmental bills often stalled despite widespread public support. Schiff, leaning into the camera with a mix of frustration and conviction, pointed the finger directly at Senator Kennedy. "Let's talk about why these bills aren't moving," he said, his voice rising. "Senator Kennedy is blocking progress because his pockets are lined with money from oil companies. It's outright corruption, plain and simple, and it's democracy." He didn't stop there. Gesturing emphatically, Schiff dubbed Kennedy Senator Oil, a nickname meant to sting, accusing him of prioritizing corporate interests over the public good. The livestream's chat exploded with reactions from supportive cheers of "call him out to heart," imagination demands for more details. For Schiff, the moment felt like a rallying cry, a chance to galvanize his base against what he saw as to environmental progress. Unbeknownst to Schiff, his words were being watched closely in Louisiana, where Kennedy, a veteran politician with a reputation for sharp wit and legal acumen, sat in his Baton Rouge office, his tablet screen glowing with the live stream's feed. Kennedy, a Republican stalwart, had built a career on connecting with constituents through folksy charm and a non-nonsense approach to policy debates. As he listened to Schiff's accusations, his expression remained calm, but his mind was already the implications. To Kennedy, this was no mere political jab. It was a direct attack on his integrity, backed by claims that he knew were not only inflammatory, but also unsubstantiated. Within hours, Kennedy's legal team, led by a seasoned attorney with a track record of winning high-stakes defamation cases, began drafting a response. By the next morning, the political world was blindsided by the announcement of an $80 million lawsuit filed in federal court alleging that Schiff's statements were false, malicious, and designed to tarnish Kennedy's reputation. The lawsuit's sixth complaint was meticulous, outlining how Schiff's accusations lacked any verifiable evidence and were delivered with reckless disregard for the truth. At its core was a shocking piece of evidence, a leaked internal email from Schiff's team obtained through undisclosed means. They'd appeared to reveal a deliberate strategy to undermine Kennedy. In the email, Schiff had written to a senior communications aide, "Kennedy's voting record is stalling our clean energy agenda. We need to hither find any information, accurate or not, to show he's in the pocket of oil companies." The phrase, "accurate or not," became the linchpin of Kennedy's case, suggesting that Schiff had acted with actual malice, the legal standard required to prove defamation against a public figure. The email's leak sent ripples through political circles, with media outlets from cable news to online blogs scrambling to cover the story. Headlines blared across platforms. Conservative networks ran with Schiff's A.D. Ballman, Baylor's lawsuit for slander, while progressive outlets countered with Kennedy's lawsuit aims to silence free speech. Social media platforms, particularly Instagram and Twitter, became battlegrounds, with hashtags like #CharIfExposed and Stand with Adam trending simultaneously, each amassing thousands of posts within. Schiff, caught off guard by the lawsuit's swift escalation, initially dismissed it as a partisan stunt. From his Capitol Hill office, he addressed detractors in a hastily arranged press conference, his tone defiant yet carefully measured. "This is nothing more than an attempt to intimidate those of us who dare to call out corporate influence in politics," he declared, standing before a podium emblazoned with his congressional seal. "I won't be silenced by legal threats, and I stand by my commitment to fight for a cleaner, fairer future." His supporters rallied online, flooding his Instagram comments with messages of encouragement, with many praising his boldness in confronting powerful interests. Yet beneath the public bravado, Schiff's team was reeling. The leaked email, which Schiff claimed was taken out of context, posed a significant challenge. Advisors huddled in late-night strategy sessions, debating whether to double down on the accusations or pivot to a more conciliatory approach. The email's authenticity remained unconfirmed publicly, but its mere existence cast a shadow over Schiff's credibility, forcing him to confront the possibility that his words had crossed a danger. Meanwhile, Kennedy seized the moment to shape the narrative in his favor. At a community event in Shreveport, surrounded by local workers from Louisiana's oil and gas industry, he addressed the lawsuit with a calm, deliberate tone. Dressed in a casual button-up shirt, his sleeves rolled up to convey approachability, Kennedy Spicchito, a crowd of supporters and reporters. "I'm not here out of anger." Scenes from the event were broadcast live on local news, amplifying his message. "I'm here because the truth matters." When someone uses their platform to spread falsehoods that harm another person's reputation, there must be accountability. The crowd nodded in agreement, and the clip of his speech spread rapidly online, earning praise from conservative commentators who saw him as a defender of integrity against reckless political attacks. The media frenzy intensified as the story gained traction. Cable news networks hosted panels, debating the legal merits of SKAs with analysts, dissecting the concept of actual malice and the challenges of proving defamation as a public figure. Progressive commentators argued that Schiff's statements were protected political speech, while conservative pundits hailed Kennedy's lawsuit as an accessory stand against baseless accusations. On social media, the divide was stark. Schiff's supporters shared memes depicting him as a hero fighting corporate greed, while Kennedy's backers posted clips of his Shreveport speech captioned with phrases like, "Truth will prevail." The Instagram live clip of Schiff's accusations racked up millions of views, with users on both sides amplifying their narratives. For every comment praising Schiff's courage, there was another condemning his recklessness, setting the stage for a polarized public. Back in Washington, Schiff's office buzzed with tension. His staff, accustomed to navigating political controversies, found themselves unprepared for the legal and public relations storm that followed. The leaked email had blindsided them, raising questions about internal security and loyalty. Some aides privately admitted to colleagues that they had urged Schiff to avoid specific accusations without concrete evidence, but his confidence in his online platform's protective power had overridden their caution. As the first days of the lawsuit unfolded, Schiff's team scrambled to craft a unified response, but cracks were already forming. A junior staffer speaking anonymously to a political blog revealed that the team had been divided on the live stream's approach, with some warning that targeting Kennedy so directly could backfire. The leak of this internal dissent only fueled the media fire, with headlines questioning Schiff's judgment and leadership. Kennedy, by contrast, maintained a disciplined approach. His decades-of experience as a lawyer and politician informed his strategy as he avoided Kennedy, leveraging his legal expertise and strategic composure, emerged as a formidable adversary, turning a personal grievance into a broader statement about accountability. The stage was set for a legal and political showdown that would test the limits of free speech, the power of social media, and the resilience of two careers in the unforgiving spotlight of public opinion. The air in Washington, D.C. crackled with tension as the defamation lawsuit filed by Senator John Neely Kennedy against Representative Adam Schiff escalated into a full-blown media spectacle. What began as a fiery accusation during Schiff's Instagram Live had morphed into a legal and public relations battle that dominated headlines and social media feeds. Schiff, known for his sharp intellect and measured demeanor, found himself on the defensive, grappling with the fallout of a leaked email that had turned his bold critique of Kennedy into a legal liability. Meanwhile, Kennedy, with his seasoned legal instincts and calm resolve, seized the opportunity to shape the narrative, positioning himself as a champion of truth, while Schiff scrambled to regain his footing. As the lawsuit gained momentum, the clash between the two politicians revealed the high stakes of public discourse in the digital age, where a single misstep could unravel years of carefully built credibility. In the days following the announcement, Schiff's Capitol Hill office became a hub of frantic activity. His team, accustomed to managing political controversies, was unprepared for the intensity of this crisis. The leaked email, which said Schiff had directed his staff to find any information accurate or not to discredit Kennedy, had become a lightning rod. Schiff, addressing a packed room of reporters outside the Capitol, stood firm. "This lawsuit is a distraction," he declared, his voice steady, but his eyes betraying a flicker of concern. "My comments were about holding powerful interests accountable, and this email has been twisted to fit a fact." He insisted the email was selectively edited, part of a broader campaign to silence his advocacy for clean energy policies. The press conference, streamed live on multiple platforms, drew millions of viewers, with Schiff's supporters flooding social media with messages of solidarity. Comments like, "Keep fighting Adam and don't let him bully you," poured in, but so did skeptical voices, questioning his judgment. A prominent legal analyst on a cable news panel warned, if that email is authentic, Schiff's in deep trouble. Accurate or not is the kind of phrase that screams actual malice in a defamation case. Behind closed doors, Schiff's team was fracturing. The leaked email had blindsided them, raising questions about who had access to internal communications and why they hadn't been better protected. In a tense strategy meeting, senior aides Revuletti had cautioned Schiff against making specific accusations about Kennedy during the live stream. "We told him to stick to policy critiques, not personal attacks," one aide later confided anonymously to a political reporter. He was confident his base would back him, but we warned it could spiral. Schiff, known for his meticulous preparation, had brushed off the concerns, believing his online platform's loyalty would shield him from serious repercussions. Now, with the email circulating widely, that confidence was proving costly. The internal dissent leaked to the press with outlets like Politico running stories headlined. Schiff's team warned him, but he didn't listen further, eroding his image as a disciplined leader. Kennedy, meanwhile, played his hand with precision. At a community event in Lafayette, Louisiana, surrounded by local business owners and workers, he addressed the lawsuit with a measured tone that contrasted sharply with Schiff's defiance. "I don't take this lightly," Kennedy said, standing on a small stage with a backdrop of American and Louisiana flags. "But when Sumion accuses you of corruption without a shred of proof, you don't just sit back, you fight for the truth." The crowd erupted in applause and clips of the speech spread rapidly online, shared by supporters who saw Kennedy as a victim of reckless political attacks. His legal team bolstered the case with a supplemental filing introducing additional evidence. A series of text messages between Schiff's aides discussing ways to dig up dirt on Kennedy's environmental voting record. While not as damning as the email, the texts reinforced the narrative of a calculated effort to smear Kennedy, strengthening the senator's legal position. The media war intensified as both sides vied for public support. Conservative outlets ran headlines like Schiff's lies exposed in $80 million lawsuit, while progressive platforms countered with pieces defending Schiff's right to criticize corporate influence on social media. The divide was even starker. Schiff's Instagram and Twitter accounts, once bastions of unwavering support, became battlegrounds. Supporters posted memes depicting Kennedy as a puppet of oil companies, while detractors shared screenshots of the leaked email captioned with phrases like, "Schiff caught red-handed." A viral TikTok video amassing over 5 million views juxtaposed Schiff's live stream accusations with Kennedy's.com rebuttal with text overlay reading, "Who's telling the truth?" The video's comment section was a microcosm of the broader debate, with users split between praising Schiff's courage and condemning his recklessness. Schiff attempted to reclaim the narrative with a second live stream, this time from his California district. Seated at a desk with a stack of policy papers, he doubled down on his stance. "This lawsuit isn't about truth. It's about intimidation," he said, his tone resolute. "I won't apologize for calling out the influence of big money in politics." But their was mixed. While loyal supporters cheered, others flooded the chat with tough questions. "Where's the evidence against Kennedy? And why not admit you went too far?" The shift in tone was palpable. Schiff's once unassailable online community was shook, with even some progressive influencers expressing unease. A prominent activist with a large YouTube following posted a video titled "Schiff's Mistake: Why We Need Proof," urging him to provide substantiation or reconsider his approach. The video garnered thousands of likes, signaling a growing skepticism among his base. The legal tide began to turn against Schiff when a federal judge issued a ruling on his motion to dismiss the lawsuit. In a 10-page decision, the judge rejected the motion, stating that the leaked email and supporting evidence provided sufficient grounds to proceed to trial. The ruling was a significant blow, with legal analysts noting that it strengthened Kennedy's case by affirming the plausibility of actual malice. Conservative media seized on the decision, with one outlet declaring court hands Kennedy major win against Schiff. Even neutral publications typically sympathetic to Schiff's politics adopted a cautious tone. A Washington Post analysis noted Schiff's legal troubles highlight the risks of unverified claims in the social media age. The ruling sent shock waves through Schiff's team, who realized the case was no longer a mere political skirmish, but a serious threat to his career and finances. Kennedy, sensing the momentum, continued to engage his constituents with a calm, confident demeanor. At a town hall in New Orleans, he fielded questions of Booth lawsuit with a blend of humor and gravitas. "Folks, I've been called a load of things in my time, but corrupt ain't one of them," he quipped, drawing laughter from the crowd. "This isn't about me. It's about making sure we can disagree without destroying each other." The event, live-streamed on local news channels, further solidified his image as a principled figure standing up to reckless attacks. Behind the scenes, Kennedy's legal team prepared for the next phase. Confident that their evidence, particularly the email, would hold up in court, they also began exploring additional witnesses. including former Schiff staffers who might corroborate the internal discord over the livestream's content. As the chapter drew to a close, Schiff faced mounting pressure on multiple fronts. His legal expenses were climbing, with estimates nearing $500,000, forcing him to redirect campaign funds to cover costs. The media scrutiny was relentless, with reporters camped outside his office seeking comments on the latest developments. Social media, once his greatest asset, was becoming a liability as the narrative shifted from his bold accusations to questions about his credibility. Kennedy, by contrast, was riding a wave of support with his strategic restraint, earning him admiration from both his base and neutral observers. The lawsuit had exposed a stark divide not just between two politicians, but between the power of words and the consequences they carry in a hyper-connected world. The defamation lawsuit between Senator John Kennedy and Representative Adam Schiff had reached a fever pitch, transforming from a legal dispute into a defining moment for both politicians' careers. The fallout from Schiff's Instagram live accusations and the leaked email had plunged him into a deepening crisis, as Schiff's once steadfast support base began to fracture under the weight of mounting scrutiny. Meanwhile, Kennedy, with his calculated composure and legal precision, capitalized on the situation, solidifying his reputation as a formidable figure in conservative circles. As the legal battle intensified, the stark contrast between Schiff's unraveling influence and Kennedy's rising star painted a vivid picture of how a single misstep cold-shaped political destinies in the unforgiving arena of public opinion. In Washington, Schiff's Capitol Hill office had become a pressure cooker. The federal judge's decision to deny his motion to dismiss the lawsuit had sent shockwaves through his team, confirming that the case would proceed to trial. The leaked email with its damning phrase, "accurate or not," continued to haunt Schiff as legal analysts across major networks dissected its implications. A CNN commentator noted, Schiff's team is facing an uphill battle. That email suggests intent to harm, which is exactly what Kennedy needs to prove. The financial toll was equally daunting, with legal fees surpassing $750,000, forcing Schiff to tap into personal savings and divert campaign funds. The strain was visible in his demeanor. The usually polished congressman appeared fatigued during public appearances, his trademark confidence replaced by a cautious reserve. Behind closed doors, his advisors were in disarray, grappling with how to salvage his reputation, while preparing for a trial that could bankrupt him if the $80 million judgment came to pass. Schiff's political allies, once quick to rally behind him, began to distance themselves. At a closed-door Democratic caucus meeting, party leaders offered only lukewarm support, focusing in broader legislative goals rather than defending Schiff outright. A senior House member, speaking off the record to a reporter, admitted Adam's a liability right now. "We can't afford to get dragged into this." The lack of vocal backing from key figures stung Schiff, who had long been a respected voice in progressive circles. Even some of his closest allies, known for their fiery advocacy, issued vague statements about the importance of constructive dialogue without directly addressing the lawsuit. The isolation was palpable, and Schiff's office, once adorned with framed photos of triumphant rallies, now felt like a reminder of a fading golden era. His staff, too, showed signs of fracture. A second leak emerged, this time from a communications aide, who told a political outlet that Schiff had ignored repeated warnings about the risks of his livestream accusations. "We begged him to verify the claims first," the aide said anonymously. He thought his followers would shield him. The revelation splashed across headlines further eroded Schiff's credibility, painting him as a leader who had hubris cloud his judgment. On social media, Schiff's once loyal following began to splinter. His Instagram posts, typically met with thousands of supportive comments, now faced a barrage of criticism. A viral Twitter thread from a progressive influencer with over 1 million followers questioned Schiff's strategy, writing, "We admire Adam's passion, but why make claims without evidence? This hurts our cause more than it helps." The thread garnered tens of thousands of retweets, signaling a shift in sentiment on TikTok, where Schiff had previously connected with younger voters. Mocking videos proliferated. One clip viewed over 10 million times overlaid Schiff's livestream with a cartoon anvil dropping captioned, "When you accuse without proof." The comments section was brutal, with users posting, "Adam needs to apologize, and this is embarrassing for us." Schiff's attempts to engage his base through new posts were met with lukewarm responses, as even his most ardent supporters demanded clarity on the allegations against Kennedy. The erosion of his online stronghold, once a source of strength, left Schiff reeling as he realized that platform that had amplified his voice could also amplify his mistakes. Across country in Louisiana, Kennedy was riding a wave of momentum. His strategic approach to the lawsuit had turned him into a conservative hero, with supporters praising his defense of integrity against what they saw as reckless political attacks. At a rally in Baton Rouge, Kennedy addressed a packed crowd of local workers and small business owners, his tone calm yet resolute. "I've spent my life serving the people of Louisiana, he said, standing before a banner, reading, "Truth matters. When someone tries to tear that down with lies, you don't back down. You stand up." The crowd roared, and the speech live-streamed on conservative media channels went viral with clips shared across Twitter and Facebook. Kennedy's legal team bolstered their case with new evidence, a deposition from a former Schiff staffer who confirmed, scrutinized under the law. The defamation lawsuit between Senator John Nye Kennedy and Representative Adam Schiff had reached its climax, reshaping the political trajectories of both men, leaving an indelible mark on the landscape of public discourse. What began as a fiery accusation during an Instagram livestream had spiraled into a legal and cultural reckoning with Schiff, grappling with the wreckage of his reputation and Kennedy emerging as a conservative icon. As the legal battle drew to a close, the fallout revealed not only the personal toll on both politicians, but also a broader lesson about the power of words in the digital age. This final chapter explores their solution of the conflict, its lasting impact on political communication, and the critical takeaway, the need for responsibility and truth in every public. Schiff's world was unraveling. The federal court's refusal to dismiss Kennedy's $80 million lawsuit had set the stage for a trial that loomed like a dark cloud over his career. Legal expenses had skyrocketed past $1 million, forcing Schiff to liquidate personal assets, including a cherished family home in California to cover costs. The financial strain was compounded by a growing sense of isolation. Key Democratic allies, once vocal supporters, had ground conspicuously silent. At a Capitol Hill fundraiser, a senior party leader sidestepped questions about Schiff, focusing instead on uniting for shared goals. The message was clear: Schiff's legal troubles had made him a political liability. Even progressive activists who had once celebrated his eloquence began to pull back. A prominent environmental group issued a statement praising Schiff's past work, but stopped short of endorsing his current stance, urging all leaders to ground their advocacy in evidence. The betrayal cut deep as Schiff realized the coalition he had built was crumbling under the weight of the controversy. Social media, once Schiff's greatest asset, had turned into a battleground of doubt and derision. His latest Instagram post, a carefully worded defense of his environmental advocacy, was met with a flood of critical comments. "Show us that proof against Kennedy," one user demanded, echoing a sentiment that had grown louder with each passing day. A Coec video, viewed over 15 million times, mocked Schiff's live stream accusations with a comedic reenactment complete with exaggerated gestures and a caption reading, "When you tweet before you think." The comments were merciless, with users writing, "This is why we can't trust politicians," and Adams Donay himself and even his most loyal followers were wavering, with some expressing disappointment that he hadn't apologized to de-escalate the conflict. A progressive influencer with a massive YouTube following posted a video titled "Schiff's Fall, a Warning for Us All," arguing that his unsubstantiated claims had damaged the credibility of the broader movement. The video's 2 million views underscored the erosion of Schiff's unassailable online presence. In a desperate bid to regain control, Schiff held another livestream, this time from a modest community center in his district, flanked by local supporters in a banner reading, "Fighting for Our Future." He spoke with a mix of defiance and vulnerability. "This lawsuit is about silencing those who challenge powerful interests," he said, his voice steady but strained. I won't back down from fighting for what's right," but the response was far from the enthusiastic support he once commanded. Viewers flooded the chat with questions. "Why not settle and move on? And where's the evidence for your claims?" The shift in tone was stark, and Schiff's advisors privately admitted the livestream had backfired, deepening the perception of stubbornness rather than strength. The mounting pressure took a personal toll. Late nights found Schiff alone in his Washington apartment, scrolling through Twitter, searching for supportive voice amid a sea of criticism. A particularly stinging comment from a former "You were our champion, but this was a reckless mistake." The words lingered, a reminder of how quickly public favor could turn. Across the country, Kennedy was basking in a surge of popularity. The lawsuit had transformed him into a conservative hero, celebrated for standing up to what his supporters saw as unchecked political slander. At a high-profile conference in Texas, he received a standing ovation before even speaking with attendees, chanting, "Truth prevails." Kennedy, ever the strategist, is the platform to reinforce his message of accountability. "This isn't about revenge," he told that crowd, his Louisiana drawl resonating. "It's about ensuring we can disagree without destroying each other's character." The speech, broadcast live on conservative networks, went viral with clips shared across social media platforms. Kennedy's approval ratings soared, and he was inundated with invitations to speak at events nationwide, from community forums to major political gatherings. His legal team, meanwhile, pressed their advantage, filing motions to compel additional documents from Schiff's team, hinting at more internal communications that could further bolster their case. The turning point came when Schiff made a painful decision. He stepped down from his leadership role on a key congressional committee. In a brief Instagram statement, he framed the move as a choice to focus on my constituents' priorities while addressing these legal challenges. But political analysts saw it for what it was, a retreat. Headlines declared, Schiff star dims as lawsuit takes toll, with one outlet noting, this marks the end of an era for Aeon's rising Democratic leader. The resignation sent ripples through progressive circles where organizers been questioning the risks of aggressive social media strategies. One activist told a political magazine, Schiff inspired us, but his experience shows the dangers of speaking without proof. We need to be smarter. The lawsuit's shadow had not only dimmed Schiff's influence, but also sparked a broader reassessment of how political battles were fought online. Kennedy, by contrast, emerged stronger than ever. His strategic restraint had paid off, earning him admiration as a principled fighter whose legal battle transcended personal grievance. At a Louisiana refinery event, workers greeted him as a defender of their livelihoods, chanting his name as he spoke about protecting honest discourse. Conservative media hailed him as a warrior for truth, with one commentator noting Kennedy's shown you can win by staying.com and sticking to the facts. His national profile soared with speculation swirling about higher political ambitions. Yet, Kennedy remained focused on the lawsuit with his legal team preparing for trial, confident that their evidence, particularly the leaked email, would secure a decisive victory. The broader impact of the lawsuit was undeniable. Politicians across the spectrum began rethinking their social media strategies, wary of the legal risks exposed by Schiff's ordeal. A Washington consulting firm reported a surge in demand for legal reviews, with one analyst noting, no one